All right, everybody, this is Jason Lesiter. I'm here with my good friend Ricky Breslin, and this is actually the first episode of Marketing Phone Calls. Ricky, you there?
Yep, I'm good. Can you hear me good?
Cool. Yeah, I can hear you great.
Cool.
So for those of you that don't know, Ricky and I are good friends. We've known each other for, years now. And I've probably racked up more cell phone minutes talking to him than just about anybody in my life. From anything from marketing to life. I mean, when you do what we do, there's not always an easy way to separate the two. So we figured, hey, we spend so much time on the phone. We talk about things that aren't necessarily being talked about because, Ricky and I are not out there doing the circuit. We're not on stages. We are just living our life, making it up as we go, and figuring this stuff out the best we can. And so, we're opening these up to hopefully give people out there who are in similar situations a peek inside, what our life is really like, what our business is really like, and how we work at it. Maybe that's going to inspire people. Maybe that's going to turn people that shouldn't be doing this away. Whatever, take it or leave it. But we're certainly excited to have you all on, and we're just going to jump in and see how this goes. So, Ricky, what do you want to talk about today?
Let me piggyback on that for about 2 seconds, which really means 2 minutes. But we talk so much, man, that like you said, we just figured we'd have this call. But I just kind of wanted to set everybody up for the calls that are going to come after this. The goal of these calls are to do 30 minutes. So it's easily listened. You can listen to it quick and easy, and one subject. I don't want people, me and Jason talked about this, we don't want people searching through 9 different subjects on a 3-hour call. There's a lot of that out there. They can kind of get long. So whenever we get inspired by an idea or something going on, we're going to pick a subject and just hammer it for 30 minutes. And that's kind of like the vision here. So that's about it. But Jason, what's the subject for today? So that's it. I mean, that's how we're going to do it from now on and from every call after here, so everybody knows what's going on. So what are we going to talk about today, Jason? And do it, man.
A lot of times out there in business books and everything, all you hear people talk about is success. And so something that's kind of on my mind lately, looking back over the years, let's see, I've been doing internet stuff and, internet business since about 2001 or 2. And looking back on some of the biggest mistakes that I've made, that if I really would have had somebody there, slapping me in the face, it would have been helpful. The biggest mistakes have come from me getting a cool idea, hanging on to it for dear life, not seeing any signs of life in it, and then still, either because of my ego or because I thought I was doing something wrong or didn't know some piece of knowledge or hadn't mastered some skill, like I just kept at it, right? All you hear is tenacity, 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 never give up. Well, frankly, I wish I had given up a lot of times much more quickly than I did, because, all we get here is time. And so if you waste it on a year-long wild goose chase, trying to build something that just never takes off, you lose in the end. So, the marketplace loses, but if they had wanted what you had, they would have found you. So,
not to mention that, like, since you're 4 months old, you're told to never give up. Then you're pre-programmed with that for like 18 years. Then you have to unbrainwash yourself from that to like into your 20s. And then you hit your 30s and you're like, oh, maybe it doesn't have, it's not a bad thing. So I think if people could not only teach their children, but like kind of have that in their mind from the get-go, my doorbell, have that in the mind from the get-go to like giving up is okay. There's balances to that, but like, let's just keep it in the business sense, right? Like if first of all, if my daughter starts soccer practice, you don't let them give up in the middle of the season. That's teaching a bad lesson. But in business, it's really different. And it's more of an art of giving up. So a lot of people give up way too soon, in my opinion, meaning they go into a market, they create a product, they push that product out into the world, and it doesn't sell and they give up. Do you normally see that, Jason? Like very quick give-ups in the business world, especially online?
Yeah, and my experience has personally, I do the exact opposite. I go in and I hang on way too long when I should have given up. So you're right. It is art. It's part intuition, part science. But I mean, the things that I didn't know, you don't know what you don't know, right? And so way back when, I had no idea that, man, if you're going to sell something, there's nothing easier in the world to sell than something that actually solves a problem that people already know they have, period. So, like,
and preferably a really painful problem.
Yeah, and preferably
like a real problem.
They need to be waking up looking for a solution, and so at least start there if you can, because that's, you look at it, a lot of the successful businesses, and they really solve very specific problems. They are not a product or a solution in search of a problem. I spent many years doing that. And I thought, and I totally glossed over the mistake I was making, and my ego wouldn't let me give up because that would be wrong. That's not what business people do, right? When if I had had that understanding of that one simple principle, I would have, maybe I still would have gotten good ideas and pursued them, but when I didn't see something happen, when I went out into the marketplace, I would have just had the guts and the confidence to say, let's move on, do something else.
Yeah, but you're also smart enough, because I know you well, that you don't give up after you create a product and put it online. That's like, I always call that kindergarten. When me and you were always talking. Creating a product, the easiest thing in the world. So you have your research phase, then we go into product creation phase, and then we go into marketing phase. And in my opinion, it's 10%, 10%, 80%. 10% on the product creation because you expect it to be good. People sit here and be like, oh, they make crappy products. I don't even go there. It should be good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the 10%. Then the next 10% is like, okay, it's online, it's developed, the cover's made, or the disc is burned, and whatever it is, okay? Then it's online. Where I see 99% of the failures on the back end, that last 80%, which is the marketing of it. Why do people get discouraged on that? Well, first of all, it's hyper-competitive online in pretty much every niche these days versus even 10 years ago. And there's so many channels. So we can banner, we can do banner ads, we can retarget, pay-per-click, obviously list building, JVs. I could go on with 4 million different things to do, right? And most people will dip their toe into one little thing that doesn't test well, boom, they give up. And that's the biggest problem I see, like working with people and just in the market in general. They dip their toe in, they get beat up, they get punched in the face, their product has a terrible conversion rate, they make nothing, they wasted $1,200, they give up. But that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. Now, should you be split testing and be improving your product along the way and figuring out ways to convert better and improving your offer? Yeah, that's a given. But I don't know how you think about that, Jason, but that's what I see, man. They get into the marketing phase. They've worked so hard, which, by the way, most people overthink the entire product creation phase. But once they finally get there, they work so hard. They're so excited. And guess what? They buy $348 in Facebook ads, and it didn't convert well. And then they give up.
Well, let me put you on the spot then. When should you give up? I think that's
okay. In my opinion, this is the good thing about our calls is because we're gonna have the balls to put stuff out there that's like very, like, as a matter of fact. Because if you're positioning yourself to get, like, the whole consultant game, like most people are positioning themselves to get clients, and they've got to make sure, they keep a politician speak. That's the great thing about these calls. We're helping people come on here, and it's just real talk. We don't have anything to hide or do or whatever. We're running our own businesses. We're fine. We're doing our own thing. So hopefully what we're about to say will help people. But here's my opinion on that. The first 10%'s done. You've done your research. You feel there's a need. You feel that you can solve a problem. Then the next 10% comes. It's online. It's available. And I always like to say, how many buy now buttons do you have online? Most people are wondering why they're not making a lot of money. Well, they have like 2 buy now. They have like 2 options for people to buy. So that needs to be expanded in a lot of people's worlds. But when it's time to give up, they go, okay, so we're in the third phase now, which is the 80%, which is the marketing of the product. This is sad. I'm going to give a definitive, but I'm also not, because I've seen people not break through until the $10,000 mark in advertising. right? Like they've done Facebook, they've picked 100 keywords and did hyper-targeted keywords. They went into Google Ad Planner and they've got banner ads designed and everything's very targeted and clean and everything's going to the right landing page, and it may not click until the 11,000th dollar. You know what I mean? So when is it a failure? Normally you can find out within $1,000. About $1,000 you can kind of know, like, dang, you know what I mean? Because we're going for cheaper clicks. I'm not going to sit there and organically try to create content, build a team, do all that around a subject matter that I don't know tests well. So if you're coming out cold with a product, what I find, and I want to get your take on this after mine too, is that anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 to $3,000, you can normally get enough clicks to know if there's some momentum. If I feel any momentum on a product or a service or whatever I'm offering to the world, and whoever's offering it, I will pounce on that and go psychotic about it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, there's something here. And if there's something there, that's normally the motivation and the drive you need to take that thing to the next level, which is buying more ads, you know, because we're trying to at least break even. I don't mind even losing a little bit of money. I mean, on the front end, especially on the test phase, you know, but man, if you can break even on the first $1,000 to $3,000 on testing, it's pretty phenomenal in my opinion. And then you go from there. So let me wrap this up, Jason. I know I'm long-winded on this, but when to like purely give up, if you spend $3,000 or $4,000 and literally don't have a conversion, I don't know, because everything's so product specific, traffic specific. I mean, there's so many elements and variables. But if you do that, man, and you don't see anything, like nothing, I would really reconsider. I would start with the offer. I would move down to the name of the product, headlines, lead-ins. There is a message to market match problem at that point, and I am pulling all ad dollars out of the situation, and I am rethinking my entire strategy from A to Z as far as my marketing goes. Sorry, there is no short answer to this. I could actually go on for 50 more minutes, but that's the short version. What is your opinion?
The next call is going to be 3 hours, everybody.
I know. We need to rethink, honestly, this whole 30-minute thing. It's kind of...
I think it's good. I think it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, it works. Okay, so...
But that does wrap around to giving up. I mean, we are keeping on the when to give up phase. I mean, as it relates to ad dollars and marketing and products, I think that's going to help a lot of people. I've seen it 4 million times. I know you have. People just... It's crazy.
Well, I mean, I come at it from a different perspective. I'm not I'm a number cruncher in my head, but I don't make decisions that way always because a lot of it is gut feeling. And so first, you know, if my perspective is, number one, I think it's a smart idea to reframe what giving up means. And instead of, because there are a lot of stories we tell ourselves about what that means. And I think that those stories cause us to make stupid decisions because we're afraid of what it will say about ourselves and that internal dialogue we have, or what others will say about us. And so number one, I think the first thing that you can do for yourself is to completely detach emotionally from your baby and understand and think about it from more a point of view of investment and return. Now, I think of all the projects, I'll tell you about one in just a second, where I have invested way beyond where I should have and saw, I mean, it's not that there is no return, it's that the return is not what I want, commensurate with the effort invested. So if you look at it from that situation, only an idiot would keep investing in something that is returning nothing. And oftentimes I do that because I actually enjoy the process. I'm not really a pure entrepreneur because it's not about the money to me. Like, if I don't enjoy the process, I just don't have the stick-to-itiveness to stick around, which is also a weakness in that I stick around when the numbers don't always make sense sometimes. And eventually I come to my senses. So when you give up, I think when your gut tells you, I think the funny part is we all know the answer. You all know deep down if something has a good chance of working. I mean, in the end, I think the successes you see out there from some of the people, you look at them and you're like, dude, I've talked to that person. They are not playing with the full deck, but look what they're doing, right? And I think what I've learned over the years is that success is not as elusive and as hard to get to as we are led to believe, provided you aim at the right spot with the right thing. So I worked with a lot of different clients in a lot of different industries, and there are some, and I'm the common thread, right? I mean, I've been in all of those businesses, and some of them I could get nothing going. And other ones, I didn't even have to think. I had both lobes of my brain tied behind my back, and sales would just come in. And so it wasn't about me. It wasn't about my skills. It was about right place, right time, and about being okay with that working or being okay with that not working, and making your decisions based on that, completely detached from what you think it says about you.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, I wish I had given up a lot of things a lot sooner. I'm just coming off a year and, a couple months of writing a daily email newsletter. Every single weekday, save maybe a week or two that I had a little hiatus in there, I've churned out 500 to 1,000 words, somewhere in there, right?
Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. That's my stupid human trick. It's easy for me. I enjoy it, and it helps people. But it didn't help people enough to create the impact that I wanted to make it sustainable in the way I wanted. And so I could have kept it going for 10 years, and it's a very public thing, right? It's not like I was developing a product and decided never to launch it after a secret test, launch or whatever. This is out there. And I woke up on Monday and I said, this is done. And that's
how do you feel about that?
Sorry?
How do you feel about that?
It feels awesome.
I mean, it feels good, right?
It's because number one, over time you learn what you are good at and what you are not good at. And for me, I'm zeroing in on really like the 2% that I do better than just about anybody I know consistently. And that's where I'm headed. And, that's very difficult to do when you're trying to get something off the ground and you're wearing a ton of hats. But over time you learn, and then you simply have to have the discipline to put yourself in those situations where you can use that value appropriately. And so, going back to what does this have to do with giving up, this informs that decision. And as long as you can keep your ego out of it, you will make smarter decisions. The deeper you get in bed with what you think about yourself, with what your friends are going to think about you, your subscribers, your customers, you will be led by that story. And frankly, I wasted too much of my life doing stuff like that. So that's why we do calls like this, hopefully to save people and help them make smarter decisions. You think that's people?
Yeah, no, I think that's good. And if people don't like the word giving up, it's kind of got a negative tone. Just call it stop doing stupid stuff. But more importantly, after what you just said, you have the back end of that, which is processing the feelings and the emotion of possibly thinking you failed. Now, the advice I would give is when you do so we've determined that, yes, give up on the crap you're either not good at, don't enjoy doing, isn't profitable, whatever it is in your life that isn't quote unquote working, be done with it. Now, you have to deal with the second half of that, and that is the feelings that come after it and most people hold these for too long, which is just feeling bad about the decision, thinking they're a failure, and not moving forward with the next biggest, best thing that they're really probably supposed to be doing anyways. So I want to touch on that before this call ends, because the biggest problem that I see is people simply holding on to that hard drive in their mind I quit that, and it hangs with them, and it drags them down on future decisions. So what I would recommend is literally give it 5 or 10 minutes tops, think about it, process it, try to learn. That's the key, is try to learn on why you failed, why it failed. There's probably a lot of external reasons, and then boom, be done with it. It's totally cool, man. I mean, the faster you can fail, the faster you can get over all these things, the better. Every day of the week, man. Just get over it. Be done with it. We're moving on to the next thing. The quicker you can get on to that next thing that you're passionate about, that you believe will work, it's cool. And guess what, Jason? If that fails, same process. You're going to most likely, and I wouldn't even make that promise to people, you're going to hit a winner, a home run. You may never in your whole life. You may never. Or it may be your next decision, and that's it, that huge idea. We never know how the market's going to react or what the situations are. But that would be my biggest advice is, boom, you gave it up. Next step, think about it. Think really hard about what happened so you can draw out the positives, acknowledge the negatives, and boom, move on. And then go right on to the next thing. And that's the way I do it. It's never failed me. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think the other thing that I try to keep in mind is that I'm a very individual kind of person. Like, if there was ever someone who should not be a team player, it is me. I've tried. I can do it. It saps my energy. I really don't care. Like, I'm here. It's taken me 35 years to figure out that the best thing that I can do for the world is to make myself happy and not add myself to the ranks of miserable, lost, scared people out there. And so I make decisions based on that. So one of the easiest ways that there is to answer the question, should I give up, is to, number one, know what you want for your life and ignore what everybody else is pursuing, because most of them are only pursuing what they see other people pursuing. So get that straight. Like, do you want to make $100,000 or do you want to make $10 million? Very different, right? And they will require different sacrifices. And either answer is fine. And don't let anyone say that it isn't, because they don't care about you. So if you know what you want, then you look at each situation that you get yourself into and ask yourself, have I given it my best shot? And if so, is this moving me closer to what I want or farther away? That's an easy way to make decisions. That's a pretty simple way to make your choices plain right before your eyes, provided that you can always keep that perspective on how you want your life to be without inside influence from mentors, from books, from all the celebrity, from the famous people, from all that junk. Really has nothing to do with you unless you let it in. And so, you only get one time through, in this body, and to be a good steward of that time and of what you are here to do, I think you have to have the guts and develop it over time to make your own choices and to be okay with them. And that makes figuring out when to let things go and bury them and move on a whole lot easier. So that's the story.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the key word you said was what you want. And we'll probably have like 20 calls on that subject alone because it's just too important. But to do a little quickie on it, it's just so critical, and you hit on it just now, to pick out and design a life that you really enjoy. Now, I know people, and we're always led to feel guilty, and all the seminars are about growing your business, and here's how to double your profit, or triple your da-da-da, or quadruple da. It never stops. And you're made to feel constantly that you need to grow it, build it, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think as humans, we do need to be obviously personally growing, and our business will be evolving. I mean, it's very normal. But as far as when it comes to income alone, let's just talk about money. I think, and I've seen it in multiple areas in different people's lives, I think it's important to have a roundabout income goal. I prefer specific, but an income goal where that's designed for your life. And nobody does that. Nobody actually sits down and says, what are my household expenses? And what do I need to do to achieve my goals? And more importantly, be at peace, be happy, and still enjoy what I'm doing. Because as I tell you, Jason, I always say the internet is doing business online. It's infinite. Like, you can work out every hour of every 24-hour day for all 365 days, right? You could.
Sure.
There's always another ad. There's always another ad buy. There's always another product to create. There's always another email. It never stops. So dealing in our realm, which is mainly online, but we both do offline stuff too, you really have to to monitor yourself and have those income goals, and what me and my wife call, like, those are just our, like, at peace goals. Like, we're comfortable there. I don't want to kill myself to do whatever, you know, extra and grow and triple and da-da-da. I'm happy with what we've built. And I think that contentment is so important. I have kids. You have kids. That's important. That's more important to me than would I sacrifice to quote unquote grow my business if it meant being away from my kids less? Now, most people will say we'll do both. We both know that's actually not much of a reality when you have children. There is a sacrifice. You are taking from one to feed the other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that does tie into giving up. It really does, because you need to know, like, is that worth it? Do I want to sit behind this computer and do that to get here? All these questions are so important, and they all come back to giving up or stopping what's doing stupid, as I've said before. And I do it all the time, and I do it to this day, don't you? Where you'll sit back and be like, that was dumb, or that is stupid. I'm actually doing something stupid right now. So, and you've got to stop it, because it's taken away from that peace, those goals, the family, you know, all that stuff's so personal. But you can't distill it in the book. There's no ABC, 2 + 2 = 4. There's none of that. It's pure art, and it's really lifestyle balance. And again, it comes back to giving up, sticking with stuff. It's a lot easier to make these decisions when you're very clear on your goals. That's what I would say about that. A little off topic, but still crazy important.
I think you know, we're not really taught to be self-sufficient, in that we're not taught to provide answers for ourselves. And yet we all have that ability. So as it relates to answering the question, when do I give up? Create your own framework for that helps you get that decision. Just like in my business, right? When I'm working with clients, I have a pretty good picture of who that client should be. There's no reason you can't create a framework like that and say to yourself, new project, here's the test, here's the litmus test. We're going to go this long. We're going to see what happens. I'm going to put these inputs into it, and create a framework that helps you make that decision for yourself. Nobody can tell you when to stop, you know, and the quicker that you develop the confidence in your own decisions, that you're okay making them, you're okay with the consequences that come from them, the better you're going to feel about everything, and the less attached you're going to be to outcomes, because you always have that framework on which that provides the foundation and the structure for what's coming next. So that's my final word. You make it up as you go. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's pretty much the bottom line. And not only do you make it up as you go, you're pretty specific on the front end of that on what you want, and it makes everything easier. But that is our first 30-minute marketing phone calls call. I'm excited about it. I think 30 minutes is good. What do you think, Jason?
I think it's perfect. Yeah, I think put your comments below. Send hate mail to Ricky. He'll give you his email in just a few minutes. And yeah, this was great, and we will be back with another episode. Anything else, Ricky?
That'll be it. You can email me at rickybreslin@gmail.com if you have any. This is new for us, so we're going to be starting these episodes. And if you have any ideas, or more importantly, subject matters you would want us to just talk about, we would love to have it. There's going to be a contact form on our website at marketingphonecalls.com. You can shoot the Ricky Breslin at Gmail email address if you've got something personal for me. And Jason, what email do you want them to use for personal for you?
You can reach me at jasonleister.com. That's Leister, jasonleister.com. Cool. We'll see you all next time. Thank you.
There it is. Bye.
All right. Bye.